Hi guys, welcome to an NUFC 360 match review. You've got myself, Jason, and Ryan. Straight after that painful watch, Ryan, I'll let you get started on this one.
Pretty,
Thoughts?
pretty flat after that, to be honest. You know, I don't think we deserve to lose the game, to be fair. I don't think we were. I think for the first 60 minutes, we were pretty poor, admittedly. But then I think, I do think their second goal kind of came out of nowhere. And as soon as it felt a while back, I just knew it was going in. It was a bit of a killer blow, and it kind of feels like this season we've been here and had the same conversation. I think that's probably 3 or 4 times now. I think if you look at our games this season, we've dropped a point against Liverpool, the last kick of the game. We're 1-0 up against Arsenal, 84th minute. Okay, maybe a dropped point, I would say, to be fair. And then again, we've dropped another point there today at Brighton, the 84th, 85th minute. So it's just a bit deflating at the minute in terms of our form. And again, I thought it was a pretty average performance. It's kind of what we're becoming used to seeing from Newcastle away from home at the minute. It's very little threat in the final third. Okay, we can pass the ball around in the midfield and build a bit of pressure, but it seems to be very similar patterns, quite one-dimensional, and we've got a few players that just seem to be a bit low on confidence / out of form. I thought Alanga again really struggled. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's confidence. For me, it feels like it's a bit of a confidence issue / sharpness. He's not playing probably as much football as he would want to play. But there was a couple of chances in the first half, where he just his final ball was poor. He had a chance on the break where he kind of turned around and passed it back, which I was quite disappointed with, and he just offered very little. And again with Joe Linton, I think he's had a pretty poor start to the season as well. As much as I do love the guy, and I think there's definitely a time in the game for Joe Linton. I feel like these sorts of games is where Joe Linton actually starts to limit us as a midfield a little bit, because I think he really kind of stifles that creativity. I think he's obviously great in the game where you need a bit of physicality in the middle and you want to break down attacks and win the ball high up or win the ball in the midfield. But in those sorts of games, and I mean, Brighton are a good side, but we're just lacking creativity in the midfield. And I think that's obviously having a knock-on effect as well in the final third. Now, I hope Ramsey can obviously come in and fill that gap. I feel like that was probably a game for Jacob Ramsey if he was fit and 100% firing. But yeah, look, it's maybe a bit unfair to single out those two. I think there was probably some pretty lackluster performances all over the park, really. Fought our way back into it, final 30, brilliant goal from Voltemada. Again, probably another bright spark and the confidence that he's got and to actually try and do that finish. Again, probably a frustrating game for him, though. He did struggle to get involved, and not necessarily his fault, but, he's dropping deep to try and get the ball, and there's a couple of times Murphy's put a ball in the box and he's not there. But yeah, I think in summary, I know you asked for a short answer, and I've probably given you a 3-minute answer, but it's pretty disappointing. I feel pretty flat after that. I mean, I don't know. How do you feel?
Well, I was just letting you go on with it because I could see that was flowing with you, so I thought I'd just let it go. Well, I thought we started well. I thought there was a lot of positives. I thought the first 10 minutes, I thought, oh, hello, we're going to have a good chance here. We had the Bruno chance on the first 5 minutes, which I felt he should have hit the target. I thought it was actually a poor effort from him, but obviously it's different in the moment. But that was the first point. And then after that, it just started dropping. Alanga you brought up. Now, we did attempt to have a preview come out before. As you know, we did do a recording. Something went wrong with the video, and I did criticise Alanga in that. So before this game coming in, I'm not a huge fan of him, if I'm honest with you, and I haven't since we signed him. I'm hoping he comes good. I'm hoping he proves me wrong. But today, again, another poor performance from him. Yes, it's confidence. I understand that.
Yeah.
Yes, it's confidence, but how much longer is it going to happen? Maybe Eddie needs to do with him what he's done with a lot of new players when they've come in. Where just bring him off the bench, just ease him into the squad. Let Murphy keep doing what he was doing last season.
I do think with Alanga, though, I mean, he's ready to go in the Premier League. You know, it's not like he's coming to a new league, a new environment. You know, he should be raring and ready to go. And I think in theory, you know, in a game like that where we are probably looking to have a bit of success on the counter, he should be a good weapon for us. I do think he's going to come good. I think he's got the quality to improve, and he's got a lot of potential to grow. And I do think he's got qualities that, you know, can make life very hard for defenders. I just think he's a little bit low on confidence. I don't know if it's the price tag.
No,
that
is true.
He does need to improve, though. Admittedly, has been poor. He's had probably one good half of football since he signed, and at the end of the day, we paid 55 million for him, right? So that's not his fault, obviously, but you know, it's a high price tag, and he does need to start performing a little bit better to live up to that price tag. But he needs time. But yeah,
it's true. But maybe now it's time. He's tried starting him in most games now. Maybe for me, I would say let's go back to Murphy. Let's start bringing him off the bench. Let's get his confidence back up. He might nick a goal coming off the bench, because I think that's the only route now where we're going to get the best out of him. Because if we just keep putting him at the start, he had a chance in that first half where he just ran at them and then he stopped and he came backwards, where I felt he should have carried on running at the defenders.
That was disappointing, and I think that kind of summed up. Maybe for me, it was a confidence thing. Look, I think we're obviously going to be playing a lot of games. Look, we're playing Benfica Tuesday. We've got another Premier League game next weekend, and then we're Tottenham in the Cup the following midweek. You know, so the games are coming in thick and fast. I think, Fulham next weekend. So we're going to see rotation. So we'll probably see Barnes and, you know, Murphy come in at some point. I would imagine Murphy will start on Tuesday night, actually. I think obviously Alanga's going to get more opportunities. You know, hopefully, I think, you know, this time of the season is a little bit tricky. I think it's quite hard to, especially with these international breaks. You know, we tend to see Newcastle pick up around Christmas, January. And I don't know if that's, again, me just looking for excuses for another poor performance. But, you know, it's hard, you know, when you're coming into a new team and then you're trying to get a bit of confidence and rhythm, and then you're having to change and go to a Swedish national team in a different environment. And, you know, perhaps he just needs a bit of a run in the team, get some games.
Which doesn't help when you're going playing for an international team that's not playing very well. No. I'm not having a dig at any of our colleagues here that are part of NUFC 360, but it doesn't help.
Man, he's useless.
So when it came to the first goal, what would you say the problem was with that? It
was a very poor goal, really. I mean, it was two passes and it just cut us wide open, didn't it? I mean, you could put the blame on, you know, Botman's defensively positioning was a little bit poor, and Welbeck obviously just slid in between the two of the centre halves, who, by the way, have probably been our standout players in, you know, the last 4 or 5 games, to be fair to them.
Agree.
Now, Thiago again today did okay, but you know, Newcastle have always, I don't know, for me, I've always noticed as watching them, but we seem to play in this very flat midfield line, where all three of them are kind of in a line and they just let guys float in behind them. And look, Eddie Howe knows football more than me, so I'm not going to sit here and question his tactics, but there is times where, you know, they just seem to have that, we struggle with that number 10, you know, that guy that can drop into the space, a bit like Ruta did. It was one simple pass, it cut through the guys, and then, to be fair to him, it was a good pass, but it was so easy. It was far too easy. It felt like it was coming, and it was a very disappointing goal, to be honest.
I wouldn't say it's questioning his tactics or saying we know more or less. Everyone has different points of view on football. And that's the only way of saying it. He has his point of view. He has his way of coaching, which has worked for us up to now. And I don't think we have to say any drastic stage of saying that we're looking to make any changes there. Every manager goes through ups and downs. The best managers stay at clubs and fight through it, and we come out the other side, which I think we will do. I think with the new players that we've got in, all the unrest that we've had through the transfer window, the new players we've got in, it's still a case of gelling together. I think Voltemada is understanding the squad a little bit more. The way he drops in and just spreads that ball out wide and then turns and goes. I just think that's fantastic, the way that he played. He did that a few times today. Just picks it up, holds the defender off, and then plays it. It's not very much over the top of the midfield straight to him. He likes it to feet, which for someone of his size, you would say is very strange. Which then moves on to his goal today, where you've got someone who's over 6 foot, back heeling it into the bottom corner.
I mean, it's not great finish, wasn't it? I mean, it's hard to find positives right now, to be honest. Again, we've kind of mentioned it. We're feeling a bit flat. But again, there's definitely a positive in that, and having the confidence and backing himself is one thing, and then being able to pull it off is another thing. And he has been a bright spark. Like you say, I really, really like his link-up play, and I think he's only going to get better. I think he seems to have come into the Premier League and hit the ground running, which for some players and especially strikers is quite hard to do, especially with the pace and the physicality of the league. He's definitely been a bright spark for us, and it was another great finish. And I think another day there was a couple of chances that bubbled around the box that might have fell to him as well. It felt like things weren't just not quite falling for us. But again, look, we got to take some positives away, and he's definitely one of them. I'm looking forward to Wissa coming back, however.
I think one of the biggest criticisms that a lot of fans have always had of Eddie is he makes subs too late, whereas this game, was it too early? Or was the halftime the right point to do it?
No, I think, to make changes at halftime. In all honesty, I think his changes at halftime actually did work in our favour. I think that they changed the game and kind of tilt the balance towards us. I think Murphy, look, he was a bit frustrating at times today, but, in terms of doing what a lot of people want to see from a winger, which is get a ball in the box and put good ball in the box, he did that. He came on, he put a couple of good crosses in. All right, didn't fall to anyone, and there wasn't anyone there, but he does have a positive impact on the game, and I thought Miley did all right too.
Yeah, no, I agree. I do think there were good changes. I just wanted your view on it. I thought it was the right thing to do. Murphy, I thought he had a good game when he came on, if I'm honest. Yeah. He did everything what he's meant to do. He got the ball, he got it, did different crosses. Sometimes he came inside. He did what he did all last season. I think the only thing that he was missing was an assist or a goal. Like we say, Joe Linton. Was the jet lag involved from international break? Bruno didn't seem to show it. Bruno, I thought, was okay today. Not his best, but I thought he was okay. Maybe the travelling was to do with that. This international break, you brought it up. I think that can affect us because we finished it before the break on a high.
Yeah.
And then it just cut us up again.
Yeah.
And then we've had to restart again. Now the players have travelled all back home, and then they've had to travel to Brighton, which is one of our longest away games, and they've had to go again. So probably not the game they would have wanted straight after an international break. Again, I'm probably making excuses for them, which I shouldn't, but these are the things that come into play. That burn chance right at the end, where he was stretching, it was inches away from getting it.
It just kind of felt again. It feels like that's kind of a recurring theme for us a bit at the minute, where we're just kind of getting close, but just
nearly, nearly chances. It's one of those where I think we just have to knuckle down. It is our bogey team. We don't go there expecting points every season. We walk away with a point most of the time anyway. But 3 points we have not had since 2017. And we've still been finishing in the top 5. So we have to say to ourselves, right, fair enough. We've got 3 home games coming up now, vital games, and then West Ham away. So I think this next run of games before our next international break, which is in November, is vital. I think that we have to pick them up. Yeah. These are 3 wins.
Yeah, 100%. And I think we knew ultimately as well, we need to improve away from home. You can't just keep relying on your home form all the time, because you've seen, there's potential for. We saw last season some of the home games where some of the teams we got beat off, you wouldn't expect to get beat off because, again, it comes back to playing against the low block and our difficulties breaking it down and then getting hit on the counter, vice versa. But, the first year and a half under Eddie Howe, we were actually pretty strong away from home. And, and I know teams have now kind of caught on to us in terms of, this is Newcastle's strength and we're not going to let them play like this. But we just seem to be lacking that kind of cutting edge, that kind of, I don't know what the word is.
Intensity.
Maybe not intensity. Yeah, intensity in a way, but it's more that actually, we used to go some of these grounds and, blow teams away like 3-4-0 because we used to go there, take our chances. We were instinctive, and I feel like we just kind of lost that a little bit at the minute. And I think obviously we're going through a transition period. I know we've mentioned it. But, ultimately, at the end of the day, we've had 4 games away from home now. I think we've had Aston Villa, Leeds, Bournemouth, and today, Brighton. We scored 1 goal. We've got 3 points. It does need to improve, especially the goal scoring. You can't, 1 goal in 4 games away from home. And some of those teams there, you're not going away to Manchester City or Liverpool or, Arsenal in those games. I know we've played them at home, but they're games where we should be looking to try and at least pick up 1 or 2 wins there, in my opinion, in some of those games.
I agree. 100%. You're right. No, the away form is probably our worrying factor at the moment. It's just patience. I think we need to see what happens in that aspect. What the teams, obviously, we spoke about it last time when we had the Champions League as well, bringing that into it. Why? Because we didn't have a big enough squad. Is the squad big enough now? Now we're doing more rotations. I think today maybe there could have been more rotations made. I did, like I say in the recording that we did have coming out, I thought Shah might have started today. Yes, our back 2 have been Botman and Chow, but and they're solid. I think they've been a great pairing and they're working really well. But on a rotation basis, could we be doing more with those? Burn surprised me today as well, to be fair. He had a good game. I think everyone was worried about him going one-on-one.
Yeah, I mean, he's always going to get caught out once or twice, just natural given the pace. And it's tricky. And you mentioned Burn there. I actually probably think the full-backs' injuries are also having an impact on the centre-half rotation as well. Because I think what you'd probably find is perhaps Shaw and Burn might play together. So today might have been a game where Eddie Howe went, actually, if Lewis Hall or Tino was fit, I might have brought in Shaw and Burn for Botman and Chow. Because Shaw and Burn are obviously used to playing with each other and he wants to build a partnership with Botman and Chow. And I think Howe's obviously notorious for not rotating much anyway. If his team's winning, he tends to try and keep the same team, which I don't disagree with. But like you say, I think maybe, we're going to have to rotate at some point. I imagine Miley will come in for a start. Potentially next weekend, or if not, I would be surprised if it was Tuesday night, but potentially next weekend. And then,
he did well today, Miley. He did well today when he came on. To be fair, I don't think there's much to criticise of his performance. When you look through the team, Gordon, it was very, very, like you said at the beginning, average performance really. I wouldn't say anyone stood out from us. Maybe Nick. I think he did have a good game, to be fair. Everything for a striker he did right. Final third decision making. I think that should be our main focus there, because that's where we're losing games or not winning games. We're not finishing like we were before. No one knows. It's like, I don't know if we're not understanding each other where we are, or it's still, like you say, the transition period. But I feel like a lot of crosses come in and I'm sometimes seeing there's no one there or there's no one gambling on it.
Yeah, no, you're right.
So
it is obviously a bit of concern. And I think it's obviously even in our build-up play, I think we just kind of, I don't know if we're overcomplicating it, but obviously we're just finding it hard to break teams down. And I think, again, having a creative midfielder does. My biggest worry going into the season was that in theory, we did improve some positions on the squad. So centre-back, obviously, look, that was a shrewd acquisition. No one can deny that. Chow's come in, looks a bargain for the price. Alanga, I was behind the signing. I do think he'll come good. And obviously, it gives Murphy some competition. Baltimore's obviously coming in and done brilliant. Vissa we've not seen yet. But for me, the biggest concern is still that creative midfielder. and I think Hull was clearly going after a number 10 slash, like that. You could see the profile of player who was trying to sign in, someone like João Pedro or Neta Kite, who's going for that sort of player that can kind of give you something different. We're a little bit one-dimensional at the minute. A bit predictable. Now I'm hoping, Ramsey can perhaps come in and fill that gap. I mean, he's not renowned for being an out-and-out number 10 or a playmaker, right? He's kind of switched between the left and he plays like that box-to-box role. He's good on the ball, admittedly, but, there's a gap there maybe for him to fill, and I hope he can kind of step up, because I still worry, without that creative midfielder and obviously losing Isak. I hate to go back to it. Voldemar is doing brilliant, but we do look a different team going forward at the minute. We just look short on rhythm, short on confidence, and ultimately, just a little bit short on quality, to be honest. Take Baltimore out of it, because his goals are obviously being good, but yeah.
No, I agree. I think we have to get past the Isak situation though now. I think, it is the past. I think it is just the gelling, which we're repeating this. It's just the gel again. Knowing where people are. Say today, I think I probably could have counted 3 or 4 chances that could have gone a different way if players were in the right place, but it's what it was. Could Pope have done better with the second goal? Really, was his positioning right? I thought he was a little bit out of position, but that's being critical. But it is what it is.
I think we could probably sit here all day and analyze it, but I think kind of wrapping it up, I think again it was a disappointing result. It's close, but not quite there, and things do need to improve a little bit moving forward. Otherwise, I think it could be a bit of a long season for us. But yeah. Look, the good thing about playing so many games is, that you forget about it and you move straight on to the next one. So,
well, that's it. So we've got to get ready for the next game.
Yeah.
And we've got to go again, rebuild. Good week of training with Eddie. Hope the lads can pick up on it and refresh. Ryan, thanks for coming in today for this. Not the result we wanted, but I'm pretty sure we can turn this around. And thank you for today. Leave your comments below, guys, and take care. Thank you, and we'll see you on the next podcast, which will come out on Thursday. Take care.
Cheers, guys.